the super team isn't as good as people make it out to be. Now, let me explain it like this. So, for the Heat super team, you had LeBron, you had Wade, and you had Chris Bosh. Now, sure, they ended up winning 2 championships, but that really only worked because of how good LeBron James and Dwyane Wade were. They were at their apex at that time. And LeBron James, he just throws a wrench in everything. He can essentially play any position 1 through 4 really, really well at a high level. And also, Chris Bosh was selfless enough to make that team work. And then, obviously, you have the golden boy of super teams, the Warriors. They had Steph, Durant, Draymond, Clay. But what you've got to understand with that team is that Steph, Clay, and Kevin Durant, they'll fit on any team because they don't really need the ball that often to be successful. Steph Curry, he runs a lot of off-ball stuff, catch and shoot stuff, quick dribbles. Obviously, he can generate his own offense on his own when you actually need it to be. But he's someone who's really good at moving off the ball. Klay Thompson, he's a catch and shoot guy who previously was a really, really good defender, fits on any single team. Literally every single NBA team is trying to find more 3-and-D players. And then you have Kevin Durant, who, yeah, you can run an ISO offense around, but he can fit on any offense. He can do anything. He doesn't really need the ball that much to also be successful. He can fit on any single team. And then you also have the Spurs super team. You gotta remember though, the Spurs super team is really more like a Spurs super organization. That organization is just so good at finding talent and developing talent. So that's why that dynasty was able to go on for so long. But there's a bunch of other scenarios where teams just try to microwave super teams and it just completely failed. Obviously, you have the big 3 in Brooklyn, failed. Now, there's a lot of other things going on there with Kyrie and a bunch of other stuff. But you also have the 76ers big 5. Remember, you had Tobias Harris, JJ Redick, Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid. That also completely failed, although Kawhi traveled in that second round. So, we don't know what really would have happened. And there's countless other examples of this also happening. Like you have the Phoenix Suns right now, who just a few days ago, as I said before, were 9th in the West. And yeah, Bradley Beal's injured, but you still have Kevin Durant, you still have Devin Booker. You should be so much better than what you are right now. And the problem is that when you create a super team, you're just one injury away, one off night away from your team completely falling apart in the playoffs, because they're so dependent, because you had to give up so much depth, so many really good players, really good role players in order to keep those star players, that it's not really good strategy, especially with the CBA. So in the long run, there's no way the Clippers win this trade. If they don't do something in the next 2 years, they're done. Their players are going to be older. They're going to be even more injury prone. They would have just wasted a bunch of money on a bunch of stars who, yeah, sure, will make them a lot of money. I mean, LA, and you have a bunch of star players. That team's going to make a lot of money. But it won't account for anything substantial in terms of actually winning, which I think is something Steve Ballmer cares about because he has way more money than he actually needs.